So 9th of March 2023. Today I'm just going to look at the latest BOLDR venture. This one's got a diving bezel and it will be out in a couple of different colourways. They're days away from releasing this. I've been lucky enough to have this one for about a month, so I borrowed it to take it to a BOLDR get together, which I did in London a few weeks back. So this watch is the same case as the existing BOLDR Ventures. This one has got the diving bezel, and that does make a little bit difference in the size, which I'll have a look at in a minute. So the case itself is titanium. It is 38mm, so exactly the same case as the old one. However, with the bezel, it does make a little difference. So it is now at the front here on the bezel, it is 38.5, and if we just look at this old one, it is 35.5 there. So side-by-side comparison, and you can see that the new one does look that little bit bigger, but that's probably a good thing because, you know, if it was 35.5 at the front, having the bezel does tend to make watches look a bit smaller anyway, so that kind of balances it from what it was before. Thickness again has changed a little bit. So the existing one, I've measured it 12.2mm, now 13mm, so it's just a little bit chunkier, and you can just tell that a little bit on the wrist, but because it's a diver, then that actually works fine. So 0.8mm thicker. So, you know, that all balances out, and that's fine. Same lug to lug length, 44mm on both. And I think, just like the old venture, which field watch needs to be small, I think the diver needs to be a little bit bigger. It works really well, and it fits most wrist sizes. I think that can be anything really. You know, you've got, you know, down to 6-inch. My wrist is 7.25. You know, I know people 6.5-inch wrists that wear them. So good variety of sizes, and again, really good to sort of buy, and can be worn by, you know, partners like husband, wife, that sort of thing. So just perfectly fits, you know, ladies. I know ladies quite often like to wear the bigger watches anyway now, or men. Absolutely perfect. The crown at 4 o'clock I think works really well. It just stops it sort of digging into your hand, and you can see it's slightly sunk in there a little bit, which again is good. And it's got that green, that little pop of colour, which I think is a nice little touch. So let's just have a look at the action of that. So you can just unscrew that, and that pops out. We can wind that one, so the movement has wind in. The movement is the Seiko NH35, and we can wind that one, and that will power the watch up. So I think, you know, from start, probably give that about 40 turns. It's probably got around about 38 hours power reserve. And then we can, so there's no date on this one, so then we can pull it all the way out, and then we can wind that to wind the actual, you know, set the time, wind the clock forward and backwards. And also when we pull that out, we can ideally stop the second hand, maybe at the top at the o'clock, so we can synchronize, you know, when we set the watch. So let's just put that back in. I just give it a little bit of a turn back, wind that in. So it is a screw down crown, which is good because that seals it even more from the water. And it is 200 meters water resistance, which is absolutely perfect as it is a diver. In reality, it's a probably go anywhere, do anything watch, which I think is good. Maybe not quite so dressy, but it has, if we look at the dial now, it has got this really lovely shade of green. So it's a very sort of modern green, and I think there's a lot of watches coming out in this colour now from the various brands. It's quite an in colour. Green is in, but particularly the shade. And I think the bezel, which I think had it been black, it wouldn't look quite so good. But the way BOLDR have done this, just a little bit darker shade of green from the 20 back round to the top, the 0, and the 0 to the 20 is a darker shade of green. Again, I think it depends on the light with that one. Sometimes it looks black. I mean, I've had to look really closely. Is it black? Is it green? But if you catch that in certain lights, you can see it's a very dark green, which I think, you know, gives that nice touch as well. The bezel itself is aluminium, and it's unidirection. So again, for divers, it turns one way, and take it all the way around. It nicely goes back and lines up really well. So I think that's absolutely spot on. I like just the way they've got an arrow at the top as well. So the actual action light is excellent. The dial itself, I like the way at the top you've got so on the actual markers for the hours, you've got the triangle, which you can tell that's the top. So, you know, in the dark, when that's you've got the loom on that, you can easily see the top of that one. You've got the buttons at 3, 6 and 9, and then you've got the dots everywhere else, which I think, you know, gives it a good balanced dial, and they're just a nice size and everything. And then the minute markers, for minutes they're a little bit longer, and they're split up into about 3 more sections, which gives that sort of technical look. I quite like that. The hour hand is sort of extends as far as the hour markers, with the minute hand extending as far as the minute markers, and the second hand extending all the way to the edge, which I think is perfect. And, you know, there's absolutely very distinguishable which hand is which. So, you know, quick look and you know that, and all good loom on them as well. The second hand now has got the new BOLDR logo on the end of that one, so that has changed some time back. And I think the final thing to look at really, so a quick look at the case back, and you can see the case, it's not displayed, but then it's quite a fairly basic movement, so it doesn't need that. But it does give you a little bit of information, and you can see there's a special tool for unscrewing that one. So again, it goes with the 200 meter resistance and making that the diver watch. The bracelet, if you've watched any of my previous videos when I've looked at these bracelets from BOLDR, I think they're excellent. They sort of move really well. They're really comfortable. They fit up to the watch case absolutely spot on. You've got drilled lugs, so it's easy to get them off, and they're not too bad to get on. The other thing I really like is that to adjust the bracelet, it's actually screws and not pins. The clasp, again, it is sort of double secure. It clicks in, and then you put that over, and then unclick once and press the buttons to unrelease that. It is a sort of pressed there, so again a little bit more basic, but for the price, and I think the advantage is that it does also keep the weight down, so I think that's really good. So the fact it comes on a bracelet I think is excellent. It suits this diver watch better, I think, but again you could take them off and experiment with different I would recommend for this sort of watch rubber straps. I think a black one or green one would look really good, or you could have contrasting colour, so that'd be worth experimenting with. And again, NATO, so just trying a variety of NATO. So you've got a 20mm between the lugs, which is pretty standard size for most straps, which I think works perfect. So the pros, first of all, the price. It is a really good price, and I think it's going to hard to beat for what you get, specification and the fact it's titanium. It's pretty much a go anywhere, do anything, a goddess type watch you can sort of wear all day, or you can do just your one watch to take away on trips, or if you only own one watch, to be totally honest. Very modern looking with the the shape of it and the colorway. It does fit most wrists, so ideal, just pretty much anyone, male, female, any sort of sizes, that sort of thing. It's comfortable, easy to wear. The movement itself is an excellent workhorse movement that you don't then have got worry about further cost of servicing or anything like that. It's pretty much going to last you a lifetime. It's always going to be pretty reliable and accurate and everything else. It's 200 meter water resistance with its screw down crown, sapphire crystal and everything, and the fact it's also got good loom. Cons, could be a little bit small for some people, so if you've got a bigger wrist, or if you prefer bigger watches, you might find it a little bit small. But modern trends watches are getting smaller, so again that sort of is in the favour, in its favour. The style or look of the watch might not suit everyone, especially with its sort of K shape. It's sort of lugs, the fact it hasn't got your standard sort of curvy lugs and things, and it's not necessarily the smartest looking watch, so maybe not so much for going out, weddings and that sort of thing. So for my overall thoughts, I think adding the diver bezel to the already very popular Venture is a great idea. This watch is obviously evolving all the time, and I think this is a great step forward for that. the actual, what you get for the price, I think, is excellent. And I just think overall, this is just a really great release. And I think from BOLDR, it's going to be a really popular watch. So well done, BOLDR, on this one yet again.
Just know that I'ma get y'all.